Linda Richards pulled into her driveway and hit the button to open the garage door. She pulled inside, as she always did, and noticed that her husband's truck wasn't in the garage. Perhaps he took the kids out for dinner, she thought. It was a bit late for them to be out, she thought. But then again, the kids didn't have school tomorrow since it was Friday night. She smiled at the idea of Jack taking care of the kids for a change, since she often felt as though she was taking care of 3 children, not just 2. She got out of her car and went into the house. It was already dark outside, and the interior of the house she shared with her husband and 2 children seemed eerily quiet without the lights and the noise of video games blaring from their large-screen television. She recalled what she had done earlier that evening with her lover Michael and felt just a bit guilty, but only for a moment. Looking around the dark, quiet house, she wondered if this would be her fate if Jack decided to finally end their marriage. After thinking a bit, she laughed and headed upstairs. No, she thought. If Jack was going to take action, he would have done it by now. She had been seeing Michael for 8 months now, and Jack had bought all her excuses, no questions asked. At first, she only visited him 1 or 2 days a week, but lately, she had been at his house for up to 4 evenings a week, including Fridays, while making up excuses for Jack. She was pretty certain Jack knew what she was doing, but he never pressed her. He never even questioned her when she lied and told him she had a weekend conference in New York a month or so ago. The truth was, she had spent that weekend with Michael. In New York, of course. Michael was the one who had a conference to attend. She was his +1 for the weekend. And now, they were planning to spend a whole week on a cruise together. They just needed to find an excuse that Jack would accept. Once upstairs, she undressed and slipped into the shower. She wanted to be as fresh as possible for her husband when he came back with the kids. Michael had deposited quite a lot of inside her, and she wanted to be clean for Jack, just in case he wanted to fool around. Of course, he hadn't made any advances toward her lately, so she didn't expect he would tonight. Still, she thought, one never knows. She slid under the covers and fell asleep quickly, her vagina still tingling from the workout Michael had given her earlier. The next morning, she awoke, expecting to see her husband next to her. But he wasn't there, and his side of the bed didn't look like it had been disturbed. She listened, but didn't hear anything else in the house. Maybe they're outside, she thought. She got up, threw on a robe, and looked around the house, but there was nothing to indicate they were there. She looked outside, thinking maybe they were doing yard work, but there was nothing. She ran around the house, calling out for them, but there was no answer. Frantic, she looked in the garage, but Jack's truck was still gone. She ran back upstairs and looked in the closet. All of Jack's clothes and toiletries were gone. She ran into the kids' bedrooms and saw their things were missing as well. Had he finally left? She pulled out her phone and tried calling Jack, but got a message saying the number she called was no longer in service. "Oh, God, no!" she cried. She called his parents in Southern California, hoping they might know what happened. "Mom, it's me, Linda," she said when Jack's mother answered the phone. "Have you heard from Jack or the kids lately?" "No, I haven't, Linda," Lorraine, Jack's mother, said. "Is everything all right?" "No," Linda said. "I got home late last night and they were gone. I figured he took them out to dinner, but they didn't come back home. I tried calling Jack, but I got a message saying his number is no longer in service." "I don't know what to tell you," Lorraine said. "Maybe you should call the police and report them missing." "I'll do that, thanks," she said. When she ended the call, she went into the kitchen to get a cup of coffee. That's when she saw it. An envelope sitting next to the coffee pot. Jack's ring was sitting on top of the envelope. Scared, she opened the envelope and pulled out a sheet of paper, a typed note from Jack. She sat down with a cup of coffee and read the note. "Linda," the note began, "in case you haven't figured it out yet, I'm gone. The kids are with me and they're fine. It's quite apparent to me that you forgot Friday was our 15th wedding anniversary. Of course, you chose to spend it with Michael Freeman instead of me. but I'm really not surprised. It's not the first time you've missed an important family date. Last month, you apparently forgot that it was Jason's 13th birthday. I told him you were busy with work and couldn't get away. Of course, I know that you were really in Freeman's bed. You did the same thing with Allison's birthday 3 months ago. She was heartbroken to learn that you put your lover over her. And you remember when Jason got hurt playing football at school 2 months ago? That's right. You couldn't be bothered to look after him because you were off with Freeman. The school told me they tried to reach you but were told you were in a meeting. Imagine my surprise when the private investigator told me that you and Freeman were actually doing the horizontal mambo at the Hilton that afternoon. Yes, I've known about your ongoing affair with Freeman for a while now, and the kids know as well. I also know about that alleged conference you went to in New York, and I know about the cruise you and Freeman plan to take later this year. Don't worry, you won't need to lie to me about it anymore. Since you've decided that Freeman is more important than your family, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I had hoped you would have ended it with him and come back to being my wife and the mother of our children again. Perhaps we could have worked things out, but you chose not to. You've basically been gone for the last several months, so now it's my turn. I'm gone. For good. And since you don't seem to care about the children, they're gone as well and will be staying with me. You will be served with divorce papers sometime early next week at your place of work. Yes, I am filing on grounds of adultery, since that is allowed in this state. I am also suing Michael for alienation of affection, since that is allowed in this state as well. I may not get very much, if anything at all, but it's the principle that matters. You see, I am teaching the children that bad choices have consequences. Given that you chose your lover over the children and leave them in my care 3 to 4 nights a week while you intimated with Freeman, I am asking for custody of the children, and you may be required to pay support. Since you make good money, I am asking that no spousal support be awarded. I won't keep you from seeing the kids, although you'll have to get a passport and pay for your own travel. You see, we're moving to Australia. I accepted a promotion and will be running our company's operations there for at least the next 5 years. I had hoped to share this bit of good news with you, but as always, you chose to spend your evenings with Freeman, and I never got to celebrate my promotion with you. You will also find in my top desk drawer a signed quitclaim deed. I am leaving you with the house, and I have left you with half of our accounts. I have taken my name off everything. It's all yours now. Enjoy. By the way, if you decide to fight the divorce, you may find yourself the next internet porn sensation. With the quitclaim deed, you will find a packet that contains some rather explicit pictures of you and Freeman together. Those are just a few of the snippets I have from the many hours of video that were taken of the two of you. I'd like to say the last 15 years have been wonderful. Unfortunately, I can't. Granted, the first 13 or so were pretty good, and I gave you all the love I could muster, but apparently it wasn't enough for you. The last year or so, you've been drifting away and rebuffed all my efforts to bring you back, offering only flimsy excuses for your ongoing absences. You may have noticed that I have not initiated intimacy with you for quite a while. The truth is, the thought of getting sloppy seconds from you filled me with disgust. I suspect you thought I was okay with what you were doing because I never tried to physically stop you. You know I would never get physical with you or tell you what to do. I'm just not wired that way. But the truth is, you hurt me more than you know, and I'll never be able to get past that. So please spare me the cliches and the bullshit. You should know that in all the years we've been together, I have never once even thought about cheating on you. I was always there for you and the children. You were my first priority, above everything else. You, on the other hand, have been gone to us all for the last 8 months. Now, we're the ones who are gone. I hope it was worth it to you. Do not try to contact me or the kids. I will let them contact you if they choose. But I must warn you, they're not very happy with you right now. If you have anything to say to me, please do it through my attorney, whose card you will find in this envelope. Goodbye, Linda, the letter said in conclusion. It was simply signed, Jack. With tears in her eyes, Linda folded the letter and put it back in the envelope. She pulled out the card for Jack's attorney and set it on the table, vowing to call on Monday. She pulled out her cell and called Michael. He answered on the second ring. "He did what?" Michael roared when she told him what Jack had done. "That son of a bitch! You told me he was okay with what you were doing." "I was pretty certain he knew, but he never once tried to stop me," she said. "Now they're all gone." "What do I do?" she cried. "You want me to come over?" he asked. "Please," she begged. Michael came to the house, oblivious to the man parked just down the street in an obscure sedan. "Thanks, Mom," Jack said when his mother ended the call from Linda. "You're welcome, son," she said, giving him a hug. "Promise me you'll call when you get to Melbourne." "I will, Mom," he told her. The children gave their grandmother one last hug, and the three of them were off to the airport. For the children, this was the beginning of a new adventure. For Jack, it was the end of a 15-year-long chapter in his life. Part of him missed Linda, but another part of him was glad to be away from her. She had him for 8 months with Freeman, and now it was over. Time to begin anew, he thought. As promised, Linda was served divorce papers at work the following Monday. The process server made sure to announce that she was being served divorce papers on the grounds of adultery and neglect. Linda felt her face burn with embarrassment as her co-workers looked on. Michael Freeman was served with a lawsuit for alienation of affection. Linda reached out to Jack's attorney, but he simply told her to either sign the papers or get her own attorney. She consulted with a few lawyers, but was told Jack's proposal was as fair as she could expect, given the circumstances. She signed the papers and returned them to Jack's attorney. Jack, meanwhile, had moved into his new condo in Melbourne, and the children loved their new surroundings, even though it took them a while to get acclimated to the area. Jack read the email from his lawyer with interest. He was glad to learn that Linda had signed the papers, but wasn't happy about her moving Michael into his former house. Oh well, he thought. It was just a matter of time before it happened. The divorce was granted quickly, since Linda didn't object. The court ordered her to pay a small amount of child support, which she did. Jack really didn't need the extra money, so he put it into a college fund for the kids. Freeman settled with Jack's attorney out of court. That money was also placed in a college fund for the children. Over the next couple of years, Linda sent Christmas and birthday cards to the children, along with a small letter to each of them. Through those letters, Jack learned that she had sold the house and married Michael, who ended up cheating on her. After doing a search on the internet, Jack learned that the woman Michael was seeing was married, and her husband didn't take too kindly to being As a result, both Michael and the woman ended up with a .45 caliber slug in their heads, and the husband ended up in jail. Jack, of course, wasn't surprised at all. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Linda kept promising to visit the children, but she never came. Again, Jack wasn't surprised, and it wasn't long before the kids just laughed off her promises as more smoke and mirrors. Over time, the cards and letters became less frequent, and after 3 years, stopped coming altogether. Jack, on the other hand, had met Chloe, a blonde beauty who originally hailed from Adelaide. She moved to Melbourne 5 years earlier after her husband left her for another woman. The two of them dated for nearly a year before he asked her to marry him. "Are you sure about this, Jack?" she asked. "You know I can't have kids, and that's what caused my first husband to leave." "Your first husband was an idiot. I've never been more sure about anything in my life," he said. "I'm madly in love with you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." "I'm madly in love with you as well, Jack," she said, "and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But what about your kids? Will they accept me as their stepmother?" "Well, let's ask them," Jack said. The next day, Jack and Chloe sat down with the kids in his condo. "Guys, "I've fallen in love with Chloe and I've asked her to marry me," he said. "But I want to know how you feel about this. Will you accept her as your stepmother?" "No," Allison said, causing Chloe to reel back in shock. Jack looked at his daughter, surprised. "Why not?" he asked. "Because, Dad," Jason said, "we don't want her to be our stepmother. We want her to be our mum." "Really?" Chloe asked. "You want me to be your mother? But what about your birth mother?" "She gave up on us a long time ago," Allison said. "So if you want to marry Dad, you'll have to be our mum. Are you willing to do that?" Chloe looked at Jack, shocked. Then she looked back at the kids and wrapped them in her arms. "Of course," she said, tears falling down her face. "I'd love to be your mum." A couple of months later, Jack and Chloe were married in a small outdoor ceremony. Allison stood as Chloe's maid of honor, and Jason was Jack's best man. At the end of 5 years, they all came back to the States for a short visit. Jason had been accepted to the Air Force Academy, so they decided to take him there after a quick stop in Southern California, where Jack introduced Chloe to his parents. From there, they flew to Denver, where Jack was to meet with his boss and the board of directors before going back to Australia. After they checked into the hotel, they headed to the elevator, but stopped when Jack heard a familiar voice. "Jack, is that really you?" he heard a woman ask. Jack looked and saw his ex-wife, Linda, coming toward them. She looked as though she had aged 20 years since the last time he saw her. She was thin and her hair showed streaks of gray. "Linda?" he asked. "Yes, it's me," she said. "Who are these people? Aren't you going to introduce me?" she asked, pointing at Chloe and the kids. "You don't even recognize your own children?" Jack asked. "The ones you haven't so much as said hello to in the last couple of years?" "Oh my God," she said, shocked. "You've grown so much, and you look so healthy. Well, who is this young lady?" she asked, pointing to Chloe. Jack couldn't help but smile. "This is our mum," Jason proudly said, a slight Australian accent in his voice. "Her name is Chloe," Allison added. "She's our mother now." Linda stepped back, shocked. "Your mother?" Linda asked. "But I'm your mother." "No," Jason said. "You gave birth to us, but you quit being our mother a long time ago. About the same time you quit being Dad's wife." Linda looked like she was about to collapse, and an older man in a suit came up to her. "Linda, are you all right?" he asked. She shook her head, tears falling down her cheeks. The man steadied her and helped her sit down, then looked at Jack, Chloe, and the kids. "Who are you people?" he asked. "What did you do to her?" "We're just passing through," Jack said. "All we did was remind her of what she once had but threw away. And who are you?" "Carl Williams," he said, extending a hand. "Linda's fiancé." "Fiancé, huh?" Jack asked. "Well, I hope you have better luck with her than I did." "You're her first husband?" Carl asked. "Yes," Jack said. "I see," Carl said. "Linda told me about you and the children." "Did she tell you what happened?" Jack asked. "She said she made the biggest mistake of her life," Carl answered. "Yes, and it only cost her entire family. Like I said, good luck to you. You'll need it. Catch you later, mate." With that, Jack, Chloe, and the kids went to their rooms, leaving a sobbing Linda behind. "That was really your first wife?" Chloe asked on the way up. "Yes, and if you ask me, I definitely traded up." "Yes, you did," she responded with a smile, "and don't you forget it." And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, So click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.